Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to this is the HiAce build in Panama. Now, so far we haven't really done much of anything to this van other than put some lights in, but today that's going to change. I'm going to build the frame for a bed. That's right, the frame for a bed in here out of only what I have here. Well, there's not a lot of space here, and clearly anything that I wanted to use to build, I either had to be able to buy here in Panama or bring with me in my carry-on luggage. And I've done a bit of both. As far as the carry-on, there's one box, and I'll leave it to you to guess how many printed parts are in here. Yep, before I left, I did a lot of printing. Now, as far as when we arrived, I did go out buy some aluminum and some pretty basic tools and one box of screws. Let's see if we can make a bed frame. The idea here was to create a simple and easy to assemble design, making parts that could be packed up in a compact way for transport, so each part is split in half. With standard shapes, I can make design adjustments to the aluminum lengths on the fly if needed, which I did in lowering the overall height as much as possible. Now, luckily, when I bought the aluminum, the guys in the warehouse actually let me cut it on their saw to the larger lengths so that I could fit it into the van. And that allowed me to do a whole bunch of the bigger cuts without having to use the angle grinder, which is a good thing because I'm not looking forward to cutting these smaller pieces with the angle grinder. But it's what we got to do, so we'll make it happen. So these 6 pieces here are already cut to 1500 millimeters, and 6 of these pieces are already cut to 2000 or 2 meters. So I just have to go from there. I need to start with my 3 center runs that are 2 meters long each, and I just need to cut the spacers to go vertically. I'll build those, and then we'll put the 1500s across the top of those. These 6 2-meter long runners will go top and bottom at the side, in the middle, and at the other side. The 1500s span across the width above the height of the wheel wells, so these will be supporting those. And I have these leftovers. 2 of these I need to cut to 1500 to make the last. I have 6 up there. That'll give me 8, which will give me all the width-wise spans across the top of the bed. And then I have these 3 pieces left over to cut all of my verticals, and I'll have a bunch of excess. I started this with 5 pieces, 5.85 meters long. I'll start with the last 2 big pieces at 1500 millimeters, which for those of you in inchland is 59 inches. After these are cut, all the rest of my pieces are small. Using one of my printed parts, I can easily mark a nice square line all the way around the part and then cut it using the zip disc that came with my grinder. Once cut, I clean up the end with an 80 grit flat disc. And a whole bunch more cutting and grinding and sweating later, we have got 5 pieces for this side at 175 millimeters long, 5 pieces for this side at 175 millimeters long, and 5 pieces for the middle where the floor dips down a little bit at 190 millimeters long. So now I can start building the lengthwise structure. Now this is where the fun part of the 3D printed parts comes in. I've got basically 2 different styles of part here. One is a bracket that holds these pieces on an end at 90 degrees. We put one on one side with 3 screws in it. Put one on the other side, put 3 screws in it. And we should end up with a nice 90-degree corner. The other piece is basically the same idea. It's split into 2 halves, but this time it's designed to hold it into a T. So the pieces fit on the inside, put screws on the outside, and on the other side we put a second one, and we hopefully end up with a nice strong T-joint. So both of these will be used to make the runners that go front to back. The 90s will be used at the front and back, and the T's will be used in the middle. Not only are they used on the bottom, they're also used on the top. Now at the same time, it's basically working as a jig because the inside wall here makes sure that when I'm tight this way, I'm flush with the top, and then the end wall here makes sure that when I'm tight this way, I'm flush with the end. Same thing for this piece. held tight, well, in both sides there because it's got two sides. And all I need to do is make sure that this piece is flat on the end and tight to the end, and everything should work out. Famous last words, right? Now, I have no idea if these screws are going to work. They're self-drilling, but I think we're meant to go through like sheet metal self-drilling. Let's see what happens. Look at that! Alright, screw number 1 in. Hope it works out like that for the rest of this. Let's see. I'm going to turn the clutch down just a little bit because I've crunched that. Now, I don't know if that's going to affect the drilling part of it, but alright. So far, for being designed and planned out 4,000 kilometers away, I'm happy. Look at that. Nice 90-degree corner, held nice and tight. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and we should have a good strong joint. There we go. Beautiful. Only like 500 more of those to do. Now that the basic outside shape is done, I can add the first T's. So these just, because they're open, slip underneath. And this piece here will drop in. And then put the next pieces on top and put the screws in there. Then I'll flip it over and do the same on the other side. And because overall this is 2 meters long, it's pretty easy on the math. The middle is 1 meter, and then the middle of that is half a meter. So our spacing is 500, 500, 500, and then the end. The decision to use these self-drilling screws is really paying off in a time savings. If I had to drill all of these holes first, it would take at least twice as long to assemble this. The aluminum is a 1-inch square 6061 T6 with a wall thickness of 2.29 millimeters, so there should be enough thickness for the threads to grab on nicely. I did have to make sure that the screw length that I could buy combined with the aluminum and the printed part thickness made it so that the screw tips didn't collide inside the box tube, and it looks like I got it right. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, it is hot. So first one assembled. We now have a pretty decent girder there. This one's going to sit alongside here. Only 2 more to go. I'm amazed at how well these screws are drilling into the aluminum, and also that I have yet to strip one of the heads or my driver bit. It would be a little easier to assemble this on a completely flat surface, as sometimes the parts drop into one of the spots where the floor dips, but things are working well enough to get it done. If only I could stop dropping sweat drops everywhere. On to the last one. I'm also pretty happy with the drill grinder combo that I picked up. Both of them have been doing exactly as I would expect them to, and even though they don't feel cheap. Well, I don't think I have an ounce of fluid left in my body to sweat out, but I've got 3 rails for the bed there. That's as far as I'm going to get for now. I need to go drink something, cool off, and actually recharge the batteries for the drill. Well, here we go, day 2, and I'm in a little bit of a different location here. I'm not quite as protected. There's a bit of thunder going on in the background, but we'll see how far we can get today. Batteries are recharged. I've got a little bit of a recharge. Let's start putting on the cross members. And a training. Now, that's one of the really nice things about the HiAce is the trunk becomes the roof. So I've just closed the side door, and there's that thunder. I don't know if you can hear that. Anyway, I'm protected by this. Let's see what we can get done in the rain. a little bit of a fisheye view here so I can actually stand underneath the trunk lid and not get wet. But here's the back. So we're gonna have the 3 lengthwise runners going up here. This piece is 1500 wide, which is 59 inches, and it actually works out that the inside of the wheel wells, I think was 45 exactly, 45 inches, and that leaves 7 inches exactly on the outside of each side. So I've made these little brackets up. These are also 3D printed. I'm going to attach a bracket to each of the outsides. I'm going to do the back and the front, and that'll kind of set everything in place. And then we'll run everything up through the middle. Well, that was just a massive, long crack of thunder over here. And I think it's going to start raining a bit harder, but I've also just realized I might have to do a bit of a tweak to my designs. I hadn't considered the amount that the fabric on the inside of the wheel wells is kind of pushing in on the bottom, and I only have these held apart by the beams on the top. Now I do have some extra, so I think what I'm going to end up doing is cutting a piece to fit like that can push the bottom apart on each side and sort of hold the whole thing. Really do need some sort of like triangulation on here in the end as well, but at least for now I think if I cut some spacers for the bottom, it'll help hold the bottom, because right now these are trying to twist in like that, and we don't want that. So out comes the grinder again to trim up the leftover pieces into some more usable pieces. This is not my preferred method for cutting box tube, but for the versatility, portability, and cost, I think it was my best option. Well, I have not been standing out in the rain, though it may appear so. This is what working in 95+% humidity looks like. I do have the rear crossbeam in, the front crossbeam in, and 4 spacers. So now I should be able to just equally space the rest of those. There's 6 more here to put in, screw them all down, and the top should be done. No, this isn't some fancy automated camera movement. My tripod is just self-compacting in the heat. But other than the headrest blocking the view, it's kind of a neat effect. These little brackets seem to be working out as well. They're easy to align and a quick screw to hold it in place. With 4 per crossbar, they should hold everything nicely. Overall, this method of construction requires very little measuring, and with the parts holding everything square, it finally feels like I'm making decent progress in getting this frame completed. Boy oh boy, it is hot and humid. Whew. Well, it's definitely raining out here, and like I said, I'm really glad this trunk opens up this way. Getting close to done. 1 piece left to go. I had to come outside because I'm hot. It'd be a lot easier if the side door was open, but with the rain, I'm not going to do that. So 1 more piece to go across the top, and that's basically it. It is pouring out there. I think the floor in here is almost as wet as the ground out there, just from my sweat. It's humid here. All right, let's get these last ones in the right place. Yes, as odd as it is, the only dry spot on me is my armpits. Weird. Oh. I don't know how you guys in Australia do it. Must be a dry heat, right? All right, last bracket. I did print a couple extras of these. Here comes that thunder again. See if you can hear that. Ow. It's always off in the distance when I'm trying to catch it on the microphone. You probably won't hear it. Oh. Okay. Do you find the satisfying part of building a project is when you get to use it? Here's the downside of this project. Right now, we have no intent to actually use it. This time. We're only in Panama for another week this time. But what we're trying to do is slowly build things each time we come. So we're not actually going to buy a mattress this time. Oh, yeah. Because it would just sit in here and do nothing for the next several months while we're not here. Now the last part that I have is a little bit decorative, a little bit protective, not really very structural, and that's these caps. And these are designed to take up the slack. I guess it'd be easier if you could see that. Take up the slack at the end. So they slip down over and then push out. And I can put a screw in, and that way the aluminum isn't poking into the sides. Now I only made, I don't know, 6 or 8 of those. I didn't actually print enough to do the whole thing. It was 6 that I printed, and so these 3 right at the wheel well are the ones that are the tightest fitting and most likely to tear. So those are the 6 that I'm going to put them on. Like I said, it's basically as simple as drop it on, push it out as the thunder booms, and put a screw in it. I bought a box of 200 screws. And I would say I will have used about 185 of them. Not bad. All right, those 3 are on. That's up tight. Let's do the other side. 1, 2, 3. That box is getting pretty empty. How's that for a blind camera angle? Now of all the stuff that I bought and used, here is what I have left over. That is the sum total of my remaining aluminum. Those are actually brackets that I knew I would have a couple extra of. That is the remaining of my 200 screws, which I may actually take some of those brackets and some of those screws and attach these pieces here. I have 6 of the end brackets completed. Some of them are going to be a little different, and that's why I wanted to get this far first, and I brought my trusted 3D printed set of calipers with me in my carry-on because they're plastic. I can take some measurements, especially up by the door. It's going to require some different stuff up there. I'm also going to make some more gussets for triangulation and cross bracing, but for now I'm pretty happy with where we are. Now, as soaked as I am, having not been in the rain at all, I may as well go out in the rain and get you a little bit better view of the, oh, I just stepped in some really deep, thick, gooey mud, of the 2017 HiAce that we're building in Panama. I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you hit subscribe. Check out the links in all the videos. Check out the Fuso build because that happens a lot more often. And until the next time, thanks for watching.